Previously, we discussed applying materials to a mesh in Blender, and there were a couple of different scenarios. In one video, we discussed creating multiple materials and applying them on different faces as one option. In another video, we discussed the idea of creating an image and UV unwrapping the mesh and applying the image selectively. Now, one other option I'd like to explore is just revisiting what we've done in our shading. So we can just make some adjustments depending on what we're looking for. Now, just playing around, if I were to just go ahead and change how the geometry node is connecting to the mapping, we'll see that we get different results. And that's all great. Not necessarily what I'm looking for in this case, but definitely worth noting. And we can go ahead and play around with some of these settings and get a lot of different things happening. And again, depending on what you're trying to do, something like this might be really cool. Let's look at a couple of other thoughts though too. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to set all these back at 0. And I'll leave the scale at 1. And let's also add a texture coordinate, just to play around with that. Again, just looking at different things that we might do. Seeing very similar results right now. But again, playing around with the settings. Something like that feels like I've got a lot more control over it. Or we could even do things in tandem. I also have the option of being able to change what I'm doing here. I mean, I can, rather than going off of points, I can go off of vector or texture and get different things happening based on what I'm doing there as well. So that's all great, a lot of playing around happening here, but trying to rein this in and get down to what I would like. I think what I'm going to do is actually stick with running the UV off of the texture coordinate through the mapping. And I'm going to go ahead and put these at 0. This one I'm going to put at 45. And then my scale is a little larger than I'd like, so I'm going to, well, put these, adjust these, see what I get. I'm going to put this back at point. There we go. Something a lot more like that works. And you'll see that this is somewhat uniformly applying in a similar way all the way around, so that's great. Now, it's still not quite where I want, and I'm not going to putz around with this too much, but I think if I make a little bit of tweaking here on my location, I can get this a little bit closer to what I'd like. Not quite there, but you get the general idea. And this is at least much more satisfactory in how I'm applying the material to the face of this mesh.